If I told you that you could wake up tomorrow feeling clear-headed, calm, and more at ease just by spending 5 minutes tonight, would you believe it? Sounds a bit hard to buy, right? Because most people think the problem starts in the morning. They try waking up earlier, grabbing coffee, playing upbeat music, forcing motivation, but still end up feeling drained, sluggish, or tense the moment they open their eyes. Here's the truth. Your morning isn't where it all begins. The way you feel when you wake up is already being decided the night before. Not by your alarm clock or your cup of coffee, but by what your brain is doing right before you fall asleep. You've probably noticed this before. Some nights, the moment you lie down, your thoughts start racing old stuff, unfinished tasks, worries about tomorrow. And even if you do fall asleep, you wake up feeling heavy, like you didn't really rest at all. It's not because you didn't get enough sleep, it's because your brain never really closed out the day. The key takeaway here is simple. With just 5 minutes before bed, doing a few very small, intentional things, you can help your brain reset, ease tension, and set yourself up for a lighter, more relaxed morning. In other words, you don't need to fix your mornings, you just need to end your evenings the right way. If you've ever woken up still feeling exhausted like this, drop a comment. Same here. The problem most people run into at night is this. Their body is exhausted, but their mind just won't switch off. You lie down, thinking you'll fall asleep right away, but within seconds, a flood of thoughts kicks in. Little things from the day, stuff you said, unfinished tasks, even worries about the future. Your brain just keeps looping, non-stop. The result? Either you can't fall asleep, or you do sleep, but not deeply. Then the next morning, you wake up feeling heavy and drained, like your mind never really got any rest. Here's the key thing to understand. It's not because you overthink. It's because your brain never got a clear signal that the day is over. When the day isn't properly closed, your brain keeps processing, holding on to all those open tabs in your head, and that carries on through your sleep, stopping you from fully recovering. In other words, you're not lacking sleep, you're lacking a proper way to shut down your day. The core message of all this is simple. You don't need a complicated routine to sleep better and wake up happier. You just need the right 5 minutes before bed. A lot of people think that to improve their sleep or mood, they need long meditation sessions, detailed journaling, or a perfect evening routine. But that mindset often backfires. It feels like too much effort, too hard to maintain, so they end up doing nothing at all. This approach flips that idea completely. Keep it as simple as possible. With just 5 minutes, you can do 3 things your brain actually needs. First, clear out the mental clutter, so your mind doesn't have to hold on to everything while you sleep. Second, calm your nervous system, so your body can shift from stress mode into rest mode. And finally, create a clear sense of closure for the day, so your brain stops processing while you're asleep. The key here is, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can do it when you're tired, stressed, or even half asleep, and it still works. In other words, you don't need to overhaul your life or build extreme discipline. You just need 5 small minutes each night, done the right way, and over time, it quietly changes how you wake up every single day. The first step of this routine is super simple, but seriously important. Get everything out of your head, aka a brain dump. Before going to sleep, instead of letting your thoughts loop endlessly, just spend about 60 seconds writing down whatever's on your mind. No need to organize it, no need for logic, no right or wrong, just dump it all out. It could be unfinished tasks, worries, how you felt during the day, or even random little thoughts. The goal isn't to solve anything, it's just to get it out of your head. Here's why this works. Your brain is wired to hold on to unfinished things like reminders. It keeps replaying them so you don't forget. But that's exactly what stops you from relaxing. When you write things down, you're basically telling your brain, it's saved, you don't need to hold on to this anymore. To make it even more effective, you can add one simple line at the end. I'll deal with this tomorrow. In other words, you don't have to solve your problems before bed, you just need to give your brain somewhere to stash them. The next step is to quickly bring down your body's stress level before sleep. Here's the thing. A lot of people go to bed still wearing stress armor without even realizing it. Tight shoulders, clenched jaw, furrowed brow. Shallow breathing, the body is still in alert mode even though you're already lying down. So before sleep, you need to help your body power down. The simplest way is to adjust your breathing. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, hold for 2, then exhale slowly for 6 seconds. Repeat this about 3 times. Text inhale 4S, right arrow hold 2S. Right arrow, exhale, success. The key isn't the inhale, it's the long exhale. When you extend your exhale, you're sending a direct signal to your nervous system. You're safe, you can relax now. At the same time, pay attention to your shoulders as you breathe out. Most people carry tension in their shoulders and neck without noticing. Just letting your shoulders drop slightly can release a surprising amount of built-up pressure from the day. After about a minute, you'll start to feel your body settle. Your heart rate slows, your breathing deepens, and your mind feels less tense. In other words, you can't fall into deep, quality sleep while your body is still stressed. Calm the body first, and sleep will follow naturally. The next step is to reprogram how you feel about tomorrow using just one single sentence. It sounds almost too simple, but it's actually powerful because your brain works like a prediction machine. It constantly tries to guess what tomorrow will feel like based on whatever you focus on right before sleep. If you go to bed thinking about problems, pressure, and unfinished tasks, your brain assumes tomorrow will be stressful and overwhelming. So when you wake up, that feeling is already sitting in your system. But you can flip that. Here's how. Write one sentence that starts with, "Tomorrow will be easier because," and finish it with something specific, small, and realistic. For example, "Tomorrow will be easier because I'll start slower," or "because I'll focus on just one important task." The key is, you don't need to make it overly positive or perfect. You just need to give your brain a clear, simple direction. After writing it down, read it back once, even if it's just under your breath. Hearing your own voice reinforces the message more strongly in your brain. What happens next is subtle but powerful. You reduce uncertainty and anxiety about tomorrow. Instead of feeling like, "I don't know what's coming," you start to feel like, "I've got a direction." In other words, you don't need to control the future. You just need to give your brain a reason to believe it's going to be okay. The next step can completely change how you wake up. Create a small win for your morning. A lot of people start their day already feeling behind. The moment they open their eyes, pressure kicks in. Wake up early, get things done, race against time. That instantly puts the brain into stress mode. So instead of setting big expectations, just do one simple thing. Pick one tiny action for the next morning. Something that takes under 2 minutes. For example, drink a glass of water, open the window, sit up and take a few deep breaths, do a light stretch, or make your bed. Then write one simple sentence. "Tomorrow morning, I only need to do this one thing." It may sound small, but the impact is huge. When you wake up with a clear, simple goal, your brain doesn't feel overwhelmed. It just needs to complete one easy task, and that feels totally doable. Once you do it, you create your first win of the day. And from there, your mood lifts, your motivation builds, and you gain momentum to keep going. In other words, a good morning doesn't start with doing a lot. It starts with one small thing you know you can actually follow through on. The final step, and the most important one, is to give your brain a clear end-of-day signal before sleep. Here's the issue. Your brain doesn't automatically know when the day is over. Without a clear stopping point, it keeps processing, keeps running in the background like dozens of open tabs. That's why you can sleep but still wake up exhausted. So, you need to create that ending on purpose. Before going to bed, say one simple sentence. "Today is done," or "I've done enough." Repeat it once or twice, slowly. It might sound small, but it creates a sense of closure, something your brain is constantly looking for. When it feels that closure, it stops looping, stops holding on to unfinished things. The result? You don't just fall asleep more easily, you sleep more deeply. In other words, your body can lie down, but only when your brain accepts that the day is over, that's when real rest begins. This entire 5-minute routine is really solving 3 major problems your brain deals with every single day. First, it helps clear out the mental clutter. When you write your thoughts down, your brain no longer has to hold on to everything, which naturally reduces overthinking. Second, it calms your nervous system. Slow breathing and consciously relaxing your body shift you from a stressed, alert state into a restful one, making deeper sleep possible. And finally, it creates a sense of closure. This is the piece most people overlook. When your brain feels that the day is complete, it stops processing and actually allows you to rest. When all 3 happen together, your sleep doesn't just get longer, it gets better. And the next morning, you wake up feeling lighter, less anxious, and more energized. In other words, you don't need a perfect life to feel better, you just need to give your brain the right way to end the day. The most important thing to remember is this: you don't need to change your whole life to feel better. You just need to start with 5 small minutes each night. A lot of people try to reset their life with big changes, then quickly give up because it's too hard to keep up. But the truth is, your brain doesn't need all that. It just needs simple signals, repeated often enough to understand things are okay. This 5-minute routine works exactly like that. It doesn't force you to be perfect, doesn't require extreme discipline, and doesn't depend on whether you had a good or bad day. Even if you're tired, stressed, or unmotivated, you can still do it. And that simplicity is what creates lasting change. When you repeat it every night, your brain gradually learns something new. Bedtime is for letting go, closing the day, and resting, not for continuing to think. And once that becomes your default, you'll start waking up feeling completely different, lighter, clearer, and more energized. In other words, you don't have to wait for a good day to feel better. You can create that feeling yourself starting tonight. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more simple but powerful tips like this.